Welcome back. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to From the Shed End. Welcome back to another video, another live stream. Welcome back. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new, as always, please make sure you hit that subscribe button because we are on the road to 1,500 subscribers. We're trying to get there as soon as possible. So if you're new, a lot of you guys watch these videos, interact in these videos, but you're not subscribing, which is really annoying. So make sure if you are, you're part of the live stream, get involved first of all in the chat. Make sure you leave a like, leave a thumbs up, but also make sure you subscribe because that helps the algorithm more than anything at the moment on this channel. Now, we've got some news to talk about. Some good news. We got money to spend. The club have got money to spend, apparently. This is what we're being told, that there's money in the kitty for January. I'm smiling, but there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to talk about. Now, we could have more money. We could have more money. We're going to talk about Raheem Sterling again. Now that the Saudi League window shut yesterday, which I thought was going to be the final solution for Raheem Sterling was to go to the Saudi Pro League, even for a year. Even to get on loan. But he's here. He's going to play 7 months of non-football, training on his own. We're going to talk about all of that. We're going to talk about the squad depth. I did mention yesterday, we're going to talk about squad depth because as much as our club has invested in youth and talent and potential and prospects and possible world beaters, possible Ballon d'Or winners in the future, we just don't look like a team that is ready to compete for the Premier League. And I've got to take back my words because at the start of the season, even up until last week, I said this team is good enough to push for the Premier League. And I look embarrassed now. I look stupid. So I'm here to face the music. If you can, get involved in the chat. Let me know what you think. Are Chelsea too far away from challenging for the Premier League? Not winning the Premier League, but even challenging for the Premier League. Is this season the season we should be challenging for the Premier League? Because if I'm honest, I think we should. I think we should. My worry is, and my concern is, and we're going to talk about the squad depth a bit later, is I don't think these players... Troy Deeney, the idiot, used a word many years ago to talk about Arsenal, and he said they haven't got the cojones whilst he was at Watford. These players I don't think have got the cojones to fight for the Premier League this season. Lincoln City proved that. Manchester United proved that. Brentford proved that. This team, close to 2 billion spent. Jamie Carragher said it right, unfortunately. We've gone from Thibaut Courtois, Petr Cech, to Robert Sanchez and Felipe Jurgensen in goal. He said it right. He said it right. He got it spot on. He got it spot on. And that's the worry, ladies and gentlemen. That is the worry, that we've spent a lot of money on players and potential. And we haven't strengthened the squad to a capacity where we're comfortable in games against Lincoln City in a cup. Yes, you can argue some of those players have probably not played together. They've only trained together. They're new into the team like João Heto and Garnacho. But this is still, I said it all in my video yesterday, this is still a team, Lincoln City, League One, that you should be beating. And that the other night, I was questioning the squad depth and I was thinking, we've got depth in the squad. I don't think that's a question to even ask. I don't think the fact that I'm asking that question, the question I should be asking you guys is, do we have quality in depth? We've got the depth. The depth is there. It's fine. The depth is there. It's fine. But I'm talking about quality in depth. I'm talking about quality. We're going to talk about the depth later, but I want to talk about Raheem Sterling because Simon Johnson has come out today with an article. What happens now to Raheem Sterling? Now, every single window, possible transfer window, is now shut. Saudi Pro League, Portuguese League, Turkish Leagues, I think shut on the 11th or something like that. Netherlands is shut. Mexico is shut. Portugal is shut. The Saudi Pro League shut yesterday. Now, this is a marquee signing that came in at Chelsea. 31 in a couple of months, came in at £47.5 million. He's in the excess of a salary of £325,000 a week. Now, yes, it says here he's won 10 major honours whilst at Manchester City. Let's include that bit. But what happens now to Raheem Sterling? Because he can't go anywhere. And I have to ask the question, was this whole Instagram post in the post 8/21, 2021? I mean, there's a lot you could unpick from that. There's a lot you could unpick from that, if we're being honest. Is he trying to tell us that was the time he was last happy? He signed for us in 2022. Is he saying he had his last best moments in 2021? It's such a weird time to post. But let's forget all that. Let's not even go down a rabbit hole of why and ifs and buts. What happens now to Raheem Sterling? Because the PFA have been in. The PFA said there's no issues. And let's have it right as well. The PFA interact with a lot of football clubs and a lot of players. This is not an anomaly where they've come in because something untoward's gone on and he's not being treated in the best way. They're at clubs every single day. The PFA are there every single day at clubs. They're dealing with stuff at clubs every single day. Different levels, whether that's national, whichever. They're dealing with stuff. They're dealing with stuff. They're dealing with stuff. So all this nonsense about it's just Chelsea and Chelsea are this and we're this and we're that. No, we're not. We want to play off the books. He's not part of the... I will say this. I am surprised him and Axel Disasi were not part of the club team photo, because as much as Maresca doesn't want him in the plans, as much as Maresca doesn't think he can be involved in matches and whatever else, he's still a Chelsea player. He's still a Chelsea player. And to not see those players who... Remember, Raheem came in as a marquee signing. He was meant to be there with Rafinha. If you remember, we tried to get Ousmane Dembele. We tried to get all these players that come through the door. How we missed the trick with Ousmane Dembele. If you don't, I'm going to go back actually and rewatch the video we done on that later on today, because Ousmane Dembele winning the Ballon d'Or, having a season that he had last season. I mean, where would we be now with him in the squad? But Raheem Sterling, not involved at all. And the worst thing is, and I think this is key, this is important here, because I don't think this would even be as highlighted as much if some of these players that are still here. I think Renato Vega's still here, but Amanda Breuer is now at Burnley. We know Ben Chilwell is in France, is Strasbourg. We know João Felix has gone to the Saudi Pro League. So all that bomb squad that Raheem Sterling was part of, he's now the last duck at in the firing line. Because there is no one else in that bomb squad bar him, Axel Disasi. I don't know where Washington is these days, but maybe he's part of the bomb squad as well. But he's the last. He's the last one. So of course it's going to look bad. But let's not make out he didn't have options. Let's not make out he didn't have options. Because he had options. He had options. And I get it. He says here he didn't want to go and deal with another season like he had. You know, he played 1,143 minutes. Only 13 were from the start for Arsenal last season on loan. I get it. I get it. Enzo Maresca told Raheem Sterling at the very start of the season, in fact, before the season even started, he said, "You're not part of the plans. You're not in my team." We got a sense of that last season, which is why he ended up at Arsenal. So we can't move goalpost. He knew he was never part of the plans. And for me now, not even thinking or considering taking the Saudi Pro League as an option, even on a loan deal, even if you go there for a year or do what João Felix has done, get a 2-year deal, you'll be 32, maybe touching 33. You could come back and maybe do a little bit of football here. Bayern Munich wanted him, linking up with an old teammate, Vincent Kompany, who was doing well at Bayern Munich. He had options. He had options in London. But as I said the other day, his son plays for Arsenal. He's got his academy now in London. maybe he prefers the money over the over playing football. Maybe that's what it is. This is why I wanted to talk about this today, because I want to hear what you guys think. Is this an option? Should Raheem Sterling, if he really wants to consider playing football for the next 3 or 4 years, because let's be honest, it's not going to be easy getting a club to sign you when you've not played a game of competitive football for 6 months. You can train all you want. You can have the best trainers, the best coaches, the best facilities, which I'm sure he's got at Cobham and at home. You can have all of those things. But if you're serious about your football, surely you want to consider what do you do? Because he could terminate his contract today. And I'm pretty sure as a free agent, he can sign for a club. So does that tell you that Raheem Sterling is more concerned from a finance perspective, that he actually doesn't really want to be playing football? I said it last week, I'm going to say it again. I don't think he should walk away from £30 million. But surely you need to get yourself out of that deal. Because if no one comes knocking for Raheem Sterling next summer, he's going to face the same situation that he's in this summer. No clubs, he doesn't want to get the deal. He wants to keep the same wages. There's no other football club stupid enough to pay a 32-year-old footballer who hasn't kicked a football at this point next summer for 12 months. They're not going to pay him 300 grand a week. I think generally and I said it for Jadon Sancho, I'm going to say it for Raheem Sterling, the best thing the club could do is just cut their losses and pay him up. Just pay him up, because if we don't pay him up and he's still here, I don't know. I don't know. I think we need to pay him up, but it should be done as not as a 30 million flat pay up. It should be something that is agreed mutually by club and player. Whether that's bonuses removed, a proportion of the wages is only paid out. And Raheem Sterling is under contract. He doesn't have to do this. But if he's serious about his football, if he's serious, he wants to play football for the next 2 or 3 years, just cut yourself out the deal. What is the point in what? It must be embarrassing for him. He must be embarrassed getting up and thinking, this is my life now. You've won 10 major honours at Man City. You've been an England international footballer. This is what we're going to remember. When we talk about Raheem Sterling, this is the bit we'll remember. Not the major honours, not the fact he played for his country, but the fact that he's let his career take a nosedive in the way that it's taken a nosedive. This is what we'll remember of him. And he could easily he could remove all this and just literally leave the club. Now, £325,000 a week might change my opinion on that if I was receiving it, but I'd like to think I've earned enough money to support my family, the next generation of my family. I've earned enough money. I'm comfortable to do that. I'd like to think over the last 20 years of playing football for Liverpool, for Man City, earning England international and getting fees and getting paid to play for the country, sponsorship deals, bonuses, sign-on fees. I'd like to think I'm comfortable enough for my kids and their kids to be sorted. I don't get it. I generally don't get it. I don't understand the mentality of someone who doesn't want to get out of the club and carry on playing football, carry on playing at the highest level. It's crazy to me. Big up Rich Money Makers, always in the chat. Thank you for joining. According to my trusted sources, I love the fact you put trusted sources, not just sources anymore. It's trusted sources. Chelsea are now trying to pay a settlement to the FA to avoid hearing sleeve sponsorship coming up soon. Yeah, I'll be honest. I think the kits look a lot better without the sponsors on anyway. I mean, obviously financially you need a kit sponsor. You want to bring in some more revenue, but I'll be honest. I think it looks better. The coach has to stop criticizing the sporting director. Sporting director doesn't like the criticism off the record. The sporting director knew that they should have brought in a goalkeeper, centre back for him. The UEFA deal did not stop it. We're going to talk about the squad depth in a bit. Big yourself up, Luke Chapman, Northampton Town fan. To be fair, Northampton Town probably give us a run for our money the way we played against Lincoln City the other night. Sterling thing isn't doing us any good. I've been told today that we might add Sterling to a tier A list in the Champions League knockout. I can't see it happening. Helps us with the UEFA deal. The reason, I mean, I get your point a bit there, rich money makers, but the problem is, again, playing behind closed doors games or training, you lose that intensity of a match day environment very quickly. Very, very. This is why when some players get injured, they can come back and then you don't see the best of them till the next season. Van Dijk is probably a prime example of that when he got his injury with Jordan Pickford. Some players, they just don't come back straight away. It takes you months. It could take you a whole season to get match fit. Raheem Sterling hasn't kicked a football competitively for how long? And even if we do get into the knockout, I mean, again, we've got to get to the knockout stages. We've got to get to the knockout stages. I'm not even that convinced now. A couple of weeks ago, not even a week ago, I was convinced. I was screaming on here saying about Napoli, we can beat them. Benfica, we can beat them. Ajax, we can beat. I'm generally not convinced anymore. The three last games, United, Lincoln, and Brentford, and Bayern Munich, have all made me question my own sanity about this football club. We've got to get to the forget about adding him to the list. We've got to get to the knockout stages. And I'm not convinced. Atalanta will not be easy. Will not be easy at all. Not be easy. Big yourself up, Luke Chapman. My striker, Ethan Wheatley, Northampton Town playing. Using Sterling will be a loophole to get around the UEFA deal. It might be, but do you know what? Just cut our losses. Just cut our losses. There's another loophole. I'm sure the owners, their loophole FC, I'm sure they'll find another loophole. Me personally, I'll be getting rid of Sterling as quickly as possible at this club because he's not a bad player. Let's look at the squad depth. Let me show you the squad depth we've got. Let's find the squad depth. Because we've got depth, but is it quality and depth? Are we really going to say this is quality and depth? Let's look at the goalkeepers first of all. And bearing in mind, when you look at this screen and you look at these players, I want you to remember we've spent close to £2 billion. So think about the players that have left. We can talk about net spends. We can talk about money that we've recovered from some of the player sales that are for players that aren't here anymore. Fair enough. That's great. That's great. But let's look at the team that we've currently got. Let's look at the ambition of the club this season. And let's think about where and how and what we need to do. Robert Sanchez, is he good enough? Jurgensen, is he good enough? Slanina, is he good enough? Are any of those three goalkeepers you would honestly back your mortgage on, your house on, and say they're gonna help you get to a Premier League or a Champions League final? Are they gonna get us a Premier League title this season? Jurgensen, I generally don't know. Had high hopes for him, but watching him against Lincoln City, and maybe I can put this down to the fact he hasn't played as much football as Robert Sanchez, but not one of those two goalkeepers should be a Chelsea #1 goalkeeper. Now, according to sources, we've got money to spend. We've got money to spend. There's money left in the reserves for January window, should they decide in terms of Chelsea to strengthen. Now, we've put on our From the Shed End Twitter account here that the same names will potentially pop up. Now, I'm looking at the goalkeeper situation and I'm thinking to myself, Mike Mignon was there. Now, he was obviously the clear one that we were trying to get over the line. If you remember, there was a discrepancy around a couple of million. But just think of how much we spent on Robert Sanchez, on Jurgensen, on Slanino, on Petrovic, Mike Penders. Mike Penders is now, apparently, according to Chelsea, doing really well on loan. I have to question the sanity of my own sanity, but I have to question the sanity of these football people that are making these decisions at our football club. And Slamino's apparently doing well at Dortmund. We need a centre-back. Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. So the 3 goalkeepers we currently have available to Chelsea at this given time are not good enough. Are not good enough. I think we can all put a massive X to that. They're not good enough. Reece James, we know, is on his day, top player, has to play at right back. I think whenever we see Reece James dropping into the midfield, or he's not even in the team, or he's coming on and getting 20 minutes, it's not good enough. This has to be the player week in, week out. I'm talking Mo Salah, Van Dijk, I'm talking Erling Haaland, that sort of player that you have to see in your team. First name on the team sheet, Reece James. Has to be. Has to be the first name on the team sheet. 1, he's the captain. 2, you know what he can bring you as a defender on his day. Now, I get injuries, managing minutes, and all the rest of it. I'm completely with everything. But if we're serious about trying to push for anything this season, he has to be one of those names in the list of starting 11. Malo Gusto and Achiampong are good backup options, but again, I worry about Achiampong in terms of how much minutes he's actually going to get this season, because obviously Maresca prefers Malo Gusto ahead of Achiampong. If it was me, if I'm being honest, I'd probably put Achiampong ahead of Malo Gusto right now. So I look at the covering in right back, and I'm not that concerned. I'm not that concerned about right back. Now, the centre-back options. Like I just said, and Slamino, we brought in top talent, apparently. Why didn't we keep him? Even before the Colwell injury, long-term injury, you look at the defenders we've got now, Chalobah, Colwell, Fofana. There's 3 of your top, okay? And then you've got Tosin in there. So I get why, but you could have offloaded Disasi. Even if it means a loan deal. Now, I know these owners, they don't want to do loans. They want straight sales if they can. They want to make profit, and that's all they care about. But I'll be honest, I'll take back this is where I've got to be humble pied. I've got to take back my words, because I said we didn't need a centre-back. And I still stand to that point a little bit, because we've got Slamino, who could have filled in, who looks good. He could have been another option. We know that João Heto, Achiampong can play in that role. But again, I have to ask the question, are they good enough against the Liverpool, against the City, even against someone like Brighton, who very dangerous attacking football? Are they good enough? Probably not. Now, Colwell, we know, is out for the season. Chalobah, Fofana, I'll be honest, Fofana impressed me the other night against Lincoln. I know he had a bit of a slow start. I'm going to put that down to being punched in the head by Jurgensen, but he had a very good game overall. And I think we need to see, and like Rich Moneymakers is saying here, his first night, Wesley Fofana played his first 90-minute game. I think it's got to be over at least 12 months, probably even longer, 18 months, his first 90 minutes. So it shows you how long we've been waiting to see Wesley Fofana perform. And he grew into the game on Tuesday night. But that's one centre-back. You need 3 solid centre-backs. And Chalobah, I think, again, a lot of criticism has been directed to him for Tuesday, for the United game. I still think Chalobah, for me, I'd have him above Disasi, I'd have him above Badia Shil. Obviously, we've lost Colwell. But I still think you need that extra defender. And one thing we don't have anywhere across this back line is leadership. Is proper leadership. I'm not talking Reece James because he's got the armband, or Tosin because he's the oldest out of the team. I'm talking Thiago Silva. I'm talking John Terry. I'm talking someone who ain't taking shit from any of these players. I'm talking someone who's vocal on the pitch, but vocal in the dressing room. And some of these players are scared to step out of line. They don't want to make a mistake, not because of the gaffer, but because they don't want to piss off the leader in the back line. All great teams have them. All great teams have them. And I think this is why Trevor Chalobah was so good last season or the season before, because he had Thiago Silva next to him, a leader, experienced centre-back. We don't have that. Can we say Colwell's a leader? Can we talk about Badiashile? Is Disasi a leader? Is Fofana a leader? They're not leaders. They might be good centre-backs, but they're not leaders. They don't galvanise the team. So I'm going to put a big cross. I'm going to put a big cross there against the two centre-backs, the left side and the right side. I don't think we've got enough cover. So I'm taking back my words. But if we bring in a centre-back in January, which is going to be very hard to do, because you can't just go and get centre-backs. They're not. Which club is going to just hand you a decent centre-back midway through the season? You're talking about a team potentially trying to get the Champions League. That's the sort of level centre-back we need. There's a lot of talk about Bastoni before the window shut. Are they really going to part with him in the middle of a season when they've got to go and replace him? It doesn't work. It's very, very unlikely you're going to get a really top centre-back in the middle of a season. I just can't see that happening unless you pay astronomical amounts over the odds. But it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. And I don't know if we can recall Anselmino or we can recall Mike Penders. But if we can, and there's an option, I think we need to consider that before we go out and buy. Left back, it's hard. It's hard to say. Cucurella, one of the best for me. Heto, we got to give him time. We've got to give Joao Heto time because I don't think you can give him the sample size against Lincoln City. But he's going to have to play a big role this season because Cucurella could not play every single game. And if you look at that, there ain't no depth there. Now, if Cucurella gets injured, we need to be assured, we need to be certain that Heto can pick up exactly where Cucurella has left off in terms of the levels, in terms of the capability, in terms of the performances. Joao Heto has to do that. He has to put in the same shift as Cucurella. He has to. Let's move to the midfield. Obviously, this is a weird formation. Shout out whoever done this, but it's a mad formation, 4-3-3. But let's look at the roles as they are. We've got Cole Palmer and Buonanotte. Potentially we're playing as the 10. Let's move those over. Let's talk about Caicedo, Lavia, Asugo, who's out for some time. Andre Santos and Enzo Fernandez. Now, I'm always, and I will keep saying this on here, I'm always confident with our midfield. I'd love to see the three of Enzo, Caicedo and Santos on Saturday against Brighton. I think that would be, for me, the dream midfield. I think we need an extra body. And I think we lose so many games because of our midfield. More so now because I feel like Enzo, I think he's injured. I think in Enzo, like Cole Palmer, they've been playing through injuries, injections, all the rest of it. We know that Enzo had that with his hernia before the Copa America. I think it's the same thing. I think something's going on with Enzo because he's not playing like the Enzo that we signed. He's not playing like the Enzo that we signed. And I'll be honest, days are numbered if you're not playing well because Andre Santos looks a player. I can see why Liam Vecino last season at Strasbourg and Liga and we're raving about him because he looks a player. He looks so comfortable on the ball. So comfortable. So comfortable on the ball. Asugo, again, I think, when he comes back from injury, it'd be interesting to see how he is. But Romeo Lavia. Big concerns. He's looking like a dud. I hope I'm wrong. But we've been saying for too long now, and we've said it about other players, we've said it about Fofana, remember we said it about Christian Pulisic as well. I hope when he gets fully fit, we get to see the proper Lavia. I don't think we will. I don't think we will. There's certain players, it doesn't matter what club they play for, they're just injury prone. And he's one of them. He's one of those players that are just going to pick up injuries, whether they're small muscular knocks, long-term injuries. He's always picking up knocks. Always picking up knocks, and it's too many knocks. It's not that they're injuries that are keeping us out of the game for too long. I'd love to know how many games he's played for us. It can't be many. And how long's he been here now? So I'm looking at someone like Santos. He's got a massive opportunity to step up and be that number 2 in that midfield. Because let's be honest, we brought him in to replace Enzo Fernandez, or to be the next Enzo Fernandez, to be a like-for-like swap replacement for Enzo Fernandez, not Moises Caicedo. So if we can get the 2 of those playing well in the midfield, or even all 3, if it means that Enzo, there's a less pressure, less burden on him, although there shouldn't be for the price we paid for him, if we can get those 3 playing, and we do get Dario Sugo and hopefully Lavia back to a point where we can utilise him in the squad this season, I think our midfield's fine. I don't have any concerns about the midfield at all. I think we've got one of the best midfields on our day, on paper. If not in the Premier League, I'd say probably in Europe. Might be delusional, might be mental, but I think we've got one of the best midfields in the Premier League, if not European football. Obviously, Gravenberg is brilliant this season. He's probably arguably one of the best, if not the best in the Premier League. But you look at Caicedo on his day. You look at Enzo Fernandez when we signed him and how good he was. The potential of Lavia, but I can't talk about potential anymore. I can't talk about the what ifs and maybes, and I need to see something. And I'm already seeing it with Andre Santos. I've already seen it with Dario Sugo. I've seen it. Here we go. Rich Money Makers has done the job for me. Lavia has played 24 games for Chelsea across all competitions, consisting of 18 Premier League appearances. That's not even starts, that's appearances. So some of those are substitutions. 2 FA Cup appearances and 4 Club World Cup appearances. Did he play that many in the Club World Cup? I can't remember. It's not good. 24 games. Yeah, it's looking like a dud. It's looking like we need to get the receipt out, get the refund, send him back, because it's not looking good at all. But Cole Palmer, Buonanotte, I think would be in that sort of 10 role. Shout out Rich Money Makers. Do my work in the background. I appreciate that. 16 starts, 8 appearances as a substitution. It's just not good enough. 1,201 minutes. Not good enough at all. Cole Palmer, Buonanotte. I think Cole Palmer, we know. There's a lot of talk, actually. There was some murmurs. A Simon Johnson thing was flying around Twitter yesterday to say that Cole Palmer will be out potentially for 3 to 6 weeks. No one could really find the source of that, so I don't think it's true. But what I will say is there's a lot of talk about Cole Palmer, who has been going through injections to get through games since the Club World Cup. 3 months almost. And Maresca, when you've got Buonanotte, you've got Esteval, you've got players. You could put Andre Santos in there. You've got to play one of those. If you know Cole Palmer, even if Cole Palmer is at 35% health, his injuries are plaguing him, don't play him. Long term, if he needs surgery, forget any title challenge, pushing for the league, Champions League knockout, Carabao Cups, forget it all. And this is where, again, I question Maresca. I question the fact we spent so much money, and I love Buonanotte from what I've seen so far. But is that good enough? From the money spent, is that good enough? Is it good enough? We've only got 2 players, really, maybe 3 if you put Esteval in there. João Pedro can play as a 10. But is it good enough to have those as options? Look, I mean, I'm not criticising the players at all, because I think Buonanotte is a brilliant player. Very young still. really good potential. And I wish we had like an option to buy him. If I'm being honest in there, I know we're talking about a lot more money, but I wish we had an option in there. Because if he goes on to do an amazing thing this season for us, and then we've just got to send him back to Brighton, that doesn't make any sense. That makes the loan deal really, really bad. At least get an option to buy in there, because if he does well for us this season, if Cole Palmer is out for a considerable period of time or he does need surgery, and Buonanotte is the player that steps up and takes on that mantle and starts making that role his own, and the end of the season, we just got to send him back to Brighton. Stupid. So in terms of the 10, we can call it the 10 role, I'm worried. I am worried because I think Cole Palmer, they're playing it down. I think he might need surgery. Two wide areas. So we've got Garnacho, Gittins, Tariq George on the left. Obviously, Pedro Neto can play there. Sterling can play there, but they're on the right at the moment for this illustration. Again, are they options? Gittins and Garnacho as your favoured left options. I've got to ask the question, is it quality and depth, or is it just depth? Is it just the depth we've got? I'm not even going to mention Tariq George because he's not going to get many starts above Gittins and Garnacho. But is it good enough for the money we've spent? Forget the players sold, the net spend and money recovered in sales. Is that good enough? Garnacho, Gittins and Tariq George. I'm not saying it is or it isn't. I'm asking a question. Is that good enough? When you look at other teams, they've brought in top players. They've done their work early. Is it good enough? Have we cut corners with Gittins? I feel like we paid over the odds with Gittins, but Garnacho, Rich Moneymakers is saying in the chat, Garnacho got the experience. Has he though? Has he got the experience? When you say experience, Rich Moneymakers, what do you mean? Because I know he's got Premier League experience, but so has a lot of players. João Pedro's got that. Pedro Neto's got that. And I'm not criticizing those players. But just having played for a club at a Premier League level doesn't warrant the fact that they can start in the Chelsea squad and be game winners, match winners, game changers, needle movers. I don't see Garnacho as a needle mover. I see him as a good addition to a squad if it had the depth and quality. It doesn't have the depth and quality. That's my worry. The blinkers are off. I can see clearly now. We don't have depth and quality. We've got depth, not quality. Let's move to the strikers. João Pedro started this season very well. Liam Delap, who I think will go on to be a very good number 9. I think he reminds me of a traditional number 9. But is that good enough? I'll have a sip of my coffee while you think. Is it good enough to have João Pedro, who I think is going to be a brilliant player? And I think he's got to be fed in terms of the right way, in terms of the wide players and the players moving forward to help the ball transition. He's got to be given the service to score goals. That's as simple as it gets for João Pedro. He likes to run onto balls and make something happen. That's his job. Delap, slightly different, likes to play against, very similar to Harry Kane, likes to receive the ball quite deep, make something happen. Mark Gui, I feel sorry for. I think he's just been brought back just to make up numbers. We knew we needed to bring someone else back, but again, it goes back to sporting directors. You've let Nicholas Jackson go and you didn't bring a replacement in. So you was banking on Liam Delap and João Pedro staying fit all season. That's another worry. No quality and depth. Esteval, Neto, and we will include Sterling because he's part of the squad still. So again, I'm not too concerned. Because as I said, Sterling, if Sterling was in the team and if he doesn't want to end his contract, for me personally, I would be putting him in the team and I'd be playing him. £325,000 a week, you've got to be playing him. He's got to be getting minutes. Because even if you don't want to play him because you think he's going to change the game for you, Play him so other clubs can see what he can do, and they might put a bid in January, or they might want him out on loan. You can't. He's not going to get a move if he's not playing football. He's not going to get a move. He has to be playing football, Sterling. If he wants to move in January, he has to be playing football. So Enzo Maresca has even like Tuesday night, put him in the squad. Put him in the squad. Unless he ends up at Strasbourg, which I doubt will happen, he's not going to get a move. He won't get the move. But is this quality in depth? That's what I want to ask. Let's not forget we've got a couple of players coming in next season. We've got a couple of players out on loan that potentially are good. Kendry Paez, Giovanni Quenda's meant to be coming as well. So there are players that will come into this team. But again, I'm talking about seasoned quality players. I'm talking about players that you just know when you sign them. When we signed Diego Costa, there was no questions about him. Even when we signed Eden Hazard, no questions about him. And you knew when he turned up, he was gonna be amazing. We've got so many question marks about this squad. I just don't know. I don't know. And that's the worry. That's the worry. Let's get into some of these. I can see the chat's been a bit active. Let's get into some of the talk in the chat. Yeah, the owners are happy with the recovery of Reece James and Pedro Neto. So they should be. But again, you've got to remember, they can't be. We've got to be careful we don't run our players into the ground. So while I'm saying Reece James should play a lot more football, he also needs the rest and recovery. There is other players that can play right back in Achiampong and Malagusto. The same for Pedro Neto. We don't end up in a situation where we're losing key players all the time. But consistently back to back, 2 games a week, 3 games, over an 8-day period, Reece James should be capable of doing that. He should be capable of doing that. The coach wants to keep Trevor Chalobah. Look, I think the problem with Maresca is I feel like he could not talk his way out of a job, but I think if he's not careful, we've seen it with other managers, to go up against his ownership and start tackling them, fighting back a little bit. It doesn't end well. And it doesn't end well, especially if you're not getting the results on the pitch. So I agree, Trevor Chalobah should not be going anywhere. I think he should be staying at the club. I think the only worry, again, is pure profit when you think about the club and how much they need to recover in terms of funds and all the rest of it. But look, many managers, talking about Tuchel, I'm talking about Mauricio Pochettino, they fell with the sword. And Maresca will be no different. And if they want to sell Trevor Chalobah, the sporting directors and the owners, they're going to sell him. They'll sell him. Maresca does not have a say at the table, 100%. The coach is very happy with Andre Santos. Remember, loads of teams wanted Andre Santos in January. They did. There was a couple of clubs that wanted him. There was also a late move, I think, for him and Cucurella. I think there was talk about Saudi Pro League potentially wanting him as well. So you never know. João Heto scouted by Arsenal. Really wanted him, but decided to come Chelsea. Arsenal don't get the defensive area wrong with their scouting. They don't. But then again, what works for one team doesn't always work for another. So he could have fitted in very well at Arsenal, but it doesn't mean he's going to do well with us. But I hope he does. I think João Heto's got I've watched him a lot. He's good. Andre Santos is a leader in the dressing room. He's 21 and got an older head. Great. But guess what? We need experience. I'm talking about someone who's done it, lived it. Being mentally mature is great, and I love that about him. But we need someone who is the Thiago Silva. We need someone who's done it, who's played in the Champions League top level. We need someone who's been to World Cups, Copa Americas, or they've been to Euros, or they've been and done something. They've played amongst and around world-class players for a long period of time. We haven't got anybody in our team that is at that level and transitions that from the club they was at to Chelsea. We've not got anyone. That's the missing piece of the puzzle. That's why last season defensively, whilst we were still bad, or the season when Thiago Silva left, before he left, while we were still bad defensively, but things were a lot more calmer. And when Thiago Silva got taken out that back line, you saw who was covering the cracks over. So it's great that he's got a mature head. I love that, but yeah, we need to get some experience in. Now, very impressed with the Brighton loan player, Buonanotte. Very impressed. Looked good. Took his goal well against Lincoln. Was creative in terms of Tariq George's goal. So I'm impressed with him. But again, as I said, to have a player of that level or potential level at the club, I don't know if we're paying his wages. I think we are, or at least a fraction of his wages. To have that level of player at the club, and if he does well, you know the stakes are going to be high. You know that the price that was the price at the start of this season will not be the price for us at the end of this season. Double or triple. So Brighton aren't stupid. They're not stupid at all. There's a chance to buy him. There will be a chance to buy Buonanotte, but I just don't think we will. I just don't think we will. Yeah, that's a good point as well. The fans will, but this is my thing with the protests. This is my thing, I'll be honest. I get it, the Champions League prices are scandalous. I think for the 4 home games, I think it's £125 per ticket. You buy it as a £500 bundle, which is scandalous because I think one of those games is Paphos and I think maybe Ajax, if I've got that correct. Of course, one of them is Barcelona. But the thing with the protest is that people will protest and then walk into the stadium. Now, I'm not against whether you want to protest. If you don't want to protest, that's up to you. It's an individual thing. And everyone's got their own reasons how and why they protest. Some people want to protest but still watch their team play football, which is fine. Some people don't want to protest. Some people want to protest but abandon going to matches, which I think is also fine. But for me personally, if I'm going to protest or I'm against something, one, I can't even commit to spending money to go and watch a match that I'm protesting about. But that's just me, which is fine if you don't want to do that. But you can't then you can moan about the ticket prices, but I think at the same time as well, I wouldn't be protesting. I wouldn't be outside protesting, spend £500 on 4 tickets and 2 of those games is Ajax and Paphos, moan, protest, but then go and sit in the seat that I've just protested about. That doesn't make any sense to me. But a protest, especially in this country, protests are stupid. They just don't. Most protests are stupid in terms of football because we all want to watch football at the end of the day. And if football was cancelled tomorrow, we'd all be begging for football to be back on the screens or sitting at a match watching it. So I think most football protests don't hold any weight because at the end of the day, the owners, after the last protest for vivid seats and all the rest of it, nothing's changed. In fact, if anything, it's got worse. It got worse. It got worse. Yeah, £125 per ticket. It's crazy. It's mental. Nicholas Jackson, exiled Disasi, will be sold next summer. Our PSR is okay, so there's no need to sell Trevor Chalobah. Yeah, but then you've got to remember, we're bringing in players, especially if we bring players in. So I know we sell well. Selling well has never been our issue. Selling well has never been our problem. It's never been our problem. I think for us, in order to bring in the right level of players we want and we need, we're going to have to make sure that those books are balanced. And yes, of course, we will sell exiled Disasi, potentially Raheem Sterling, and Nicholas Jackson will move on, maybe 1 or 2 other players. But in terms of what we need to bring in, what we need to bring into this football club is experience. And with experience comes additional fees. It's not going to be the 20 million that we're buying for these South Americans or these 50 millions or 40 million for Garnacho. This is going to be marquees. We're going to have to break the bank a little bit more. It's all well doing things on the cheap and trying to buy young South American kids. I get it. It's great. It's fine. If it works. If you can find 3 out of 12 kids that you sign, great. But if you want to win things, and I've realized this in the last 14 days, more so than ever, this is not new to me, but the last 14 days after watching Brentford, Bayern Munich, Manchester United, Lincoln City, watching those games and thinking, we actually don't have a squad that's ready to compete yet. 3 years, nearly 4 years into this project. 4 years in, and we still talk about potential players, possible players. Maybe they might get better. We might see them back from injury soon. Nothing's clicked really, has it? If we're going to be honest, let's have an honest conversation. Nothing has clicked for our club. Let's think about all the players. I'm talking about the Koulibalis and Sancho and everyone else that's been in the club. We've never had a sustained period of quality football. There's never been one given period in the season, going back to when Thomas Tuchel was here, up until Graham Potter, Pochettino and all the rest of it. We've had moments, we've had games, but I'm talking about a chunk of the season. And yes, we were top of the league last December, great, but I'm talking about a proper, sustained, dominant, consistent run of games. I can't remember the last time we did that. You watch City, not even City, you watch Liverpool. I watch other teams in the Championship and League One, and I watch them and I think, right, they're going to win that game today. I just know for a fact they're going to win. They could go 1-0 down, 2-0 down. They'll bring it back. I never think that about Chelsea anymore. We don't have the quality. We don't have the quality of players to actually get games over the line, or we go 1-0 down. We haven't got that quality in the team anymore. And we should. When you think about what we've spent and even what we've got rid of, because we knew we needed to get rid of some players, the Pulisic and Mason Mount didn't want to be here, all the rest of it. So we knew we needed to get rid of players, but the players that we've brought in, we still talk about Lavia, who we've just mentioned, has played, 18 games or whatever. We talk about these players. Yeah, but see all this, then Egbali's got to have bigger pants then. He's got to tighten the belt, be brave, stand up for it. These are businessmen. If he's getting bullied by sporting directors, he's in the wrong job. If he's getting bullied by sporting directors, he's in the wrong job, Egbali. He's in the wrong job. Yeah, but then, but no, I'm not having, all of that for me is just noise. Because things will happen in boardrooms amongst clubs, in and amongst English football. The problem is that you have to have a strategy. If you haven't got a transfer strategy and a plan and a vision and what you want to achieve season by season and what you think you should have, and these will have it. This, our sporting directors and ownership will have all that. But I guarantee you, top of that thing, that list of objectives, is finances. Not Champions League winners or Premier League winners, because yeah, it generates money, but there's other ways that this club makes money. And even finishing top 4 generates a bit of money for them. So they're not bothered about a real sustained, robust transfer strategy. They're thinking, what players can we bring in that will gain us more profit in 3 or 2 years' time? Rather than actually, we need to bring in proven Isak's winners. And I don't mean winners in terms of he's won loads of stuff, but you see when Isak plays, he's in the right places. He looks like he's going to score goals. You see a lot of, even a Haaland, let's go back to Haaland, bringing in a Donnarumma, who at that level is going to change something for you in goal. Bringing in someone who is going to change the way that your team can play and the way that your team can set up against other good teams. We don't have that. That's what we don't have. That's what we don't have in the team. So my question before I go is, do we have quality in depth? Do we have quality in depth? Or is Chelsea crumbling like a cookie? Are we crumbling before our very eyes, and we're going to end up like Manchester United in a couple of seasons, finishing 15th, losing to clubs in the Europa League final? Is that where we're heading? Because this is a big crossroads. And if the sporting directors don't get this right soon, I do worry that we're just going to be one of those we're already there. I was going to say we're going to be sell to buy. Buy to sell, sorry. We're going to be buy to sell. And all we're going to do is bring in players to sell them on. Let's not worry about the league position. Just make sure you get top 4. Maybe get yourself a domestic cup. If we become that sort of club, which I think we're on the brink of. There already. Unless things change in the summer and we start thinking, actually, let's stop bringing in 15 players and let's bring in 3 or 4 game changers, needle movers. Let's pay them 20,000 more than we were going to do in the wage caps. Let's pay them £200,000, £250,000 a week. Let's use those players to change the current squad that we've got, build around the experience, and then you've got the likes of Esteval who can learn off someone. We've got a proven goal scorer. You've got your solid centre-back and you've got your commanding goalkeeper. Once you've got the spine, anything else is fair game. Anything else where Quenda might play on the right in terms of the right wing or as a right wing back, all of those things will fall into place. As long as you've got the spine of the team right, anything else is fair game. Right now, we don't have the backbone, the spine, and we're just playing with a brilliant midfield that gets overrun because we don't retain possession of the ball. Our defence is either the Chuckle Brothers or Laurel Hardy, depends which game we're playing in. And our strikers and our attacking options are rinse and repeat of what Noni Madueke was doing last season. Credit Pedro Neto, who's done well. Esteval, they've done well on the right. And João Pedro's done it right up front. But there needs to be more. There needs to be more. In my opinion. I wouldn't rule out Mike Maignan. I would not rule out Mike Maignan at all. I think the worry now is, again, is he going to hold out to the end of the summer? Because if he can get a better deal in the summer. Same for Mark Guehi. And he's obviously got his eyes set on Liverpool. But do you go in and test the waters? Do you try? If there's money to spend in January, do you go out and say, actually, we can get you. We can get you now. We'll pay over the odds to go and get you now. Do we do that for Mark Guehi? Can he leave in the middle of a busy, what will be a busy period for Crystal Palace, potentially? Does Mike Maignan just actually wait out till the end of the summer and get a better deal for himself? And I'll say it before I go. We allowed Kelleher to go to Brentford, who is definitely an upgrade on Robert Sanchez and Philip Jurgensen. We let Edison go to Fenerbahce, who again is an upgrade on the goalkeepers we have. Donnarumma, yes, had his heart set on Man City, but let's not make out like we can't interject and intercept deals. We've done it before. And Mike Maignan is the bottom of that chain of goalkeepers. And even that deal, we couldn't get done. So, yes, he will be on the radar, I'm sure, in January. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Big up yourselves in the chat as always. Thank you very much for joining. Leave your comments and the thoughts and all that in the comment section. Have we got quality in depth? Not just depth, quality in depth. What do we need to make sure that we can sustain some form of consistency in the Premier League and in the Champions League? Don't forget the podcast potentially, well, the podcast content will be out tomorrow, whether that's a podcast or another video, another live stream. Keep your notifications on. And also Linktree link in the description, Instagram, Twitter, all of that good stuff as well. We'll be back tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. I'm gone.